Welcome back to my channel, y'all. In today's video, we're going to be talking about range, and that's going to go from range of emotion to range of experience and how important it is to cultivate the ability to expand your range, because if you don't, I believe that the world will, and it won't be as enjoyable. And if you do it on your own, the experiences you can have, I think, are going to be way more enjoyable, being from personal experience, which I'm going to share some of those today. Uh, and it just opens your worldview, and the things that you can participate in drastically changes. So I remember when I was probably like late teens, early 20s, just starting to get into all of these concepts and in this world when it comes to deconstruction, emotions, how to process emotions, especially as a young man. That's not something that is really encouraged or cultivated in culture, at least how I was raised. And then as I expanded my experience into the rest of the world, realized that it was not just my upbringing that had that common tendency. And I remember learning this concept where it's like, to the degree in which you can feel fear or pain or grief or anger, so-called negative emotions, right? We'll put those over here, is the same degree in which you can feel bliss and love and happiness and ecstasy. And a lot of people and a lot of cultures focus only on the positive, only on the good feelings. The thing, though, is those feelings are only really good or experienced out of contrast to the ones that may not be as enjoyable. And it was something that I kind of started to play with in my own experience, where I would start to feel certain like negative emotion, instead of judging it or instead of trying to not feel it, realizing that emotions are designed to be felt, expressed in a healthy way, and they literally leave your body, they move on. However, if you don't experience the sad emotions or the negative emotions that people have labeled it as, which that's even an interesting concept, like, is there a negative emotion? Is there a positive emotion? Or is it just, again, it's a spectrum of where on that scale are you? And when you start to deepen, the way I kind of view it is the, again, I'll use negative for the sake of this video, but the more negative feeling emotions, those are kind of the roots of the tree, and the more positive ones are the top of the tree. And a tree grows in both directions at the same time, yet you only see with your eyes the top of the tree, the stuff above ground. And those negative ones are the ones that are underground. No one sees those, but they're vitally important, because it's the, whether you want to call it the shadow side of yourself or the yin and the yang, right? All the different analogies it talks about this. I really think, correction, I know that to be able to expand on both sides of those is very important. And then there's another component outside of the emotion aspect, where there's the experience of just life. So never mind the emotions, but if you are only focusing on the experiences of positivity, meaning jobs that are enjoyable, relationships that are easy, living situations that are perfect, you're going to kind of miss the other side of that. So I'll give you another example. Right now, my house is unlivable, where the AC was leaking. They had to pull up a bunch of flooring. Anyway, so I'm not at my home, as you can see. I'm at my job, which I'm very thankful for, staying in one of the cabins on the property. And as I've been experiencing this past week, and it's going to be like this probably for the next 3 weeks, realistically, noticing, I've noticed in my body the old tendency, which is very quiet now, to like get bent out of shape about this, or to be mad, or to be like, oh my god, I can't even be home, yada yada yada, instead of just enjoying the ups and downs of living out of a cabin and all that comes with that, right? Whereas maybe 5 to 10 years ago, if I were to have this experience, it would have been very different. And then even as I've been talking about it with people, and I've shared this with a handful of people, they're like, they almost feel more angry about it than I am, which is very interesting. To be like, okay, well, this is just part of the experience. This is part of that spectrum of emotion and spectrum of experiences that you can have as a human. Because the way that I experience all of that's happening in my life in this moment is truly a matter of perception, of what lens am I looking at it through. And looking at these experiences through a broader emotional bandwidth, I've found to be life changing, because you then realize it's really just how you view it. So now I can view my current living situation, which objectively is stressful or inconvenient maybe, and at the same time it's kind of fun. It's new. It's a pattern interrupt with my schedule and in my life, and I really do attribute the way I'm able to handle some of these things, which again, it's not even that bad if you think about it, to the emotional side of it. And specifically around men, I was talking with somebody the other day about this, where the gap between men and women in culture, I think is a big correlation of that is the lack of emotional intelligence that men have. And I'll probably go into this in a different video, but this ties into this concept where the importance of emotional bandwidth makes you more um, like not fluid, but more flexible, I would say, because you don't have stuck emotions in your body. But when you have those stuck emotions in your body and that bandwidth is very little, it makes you very brittle, and it makes you kind of tap out from society, because you're like, I don't want to go to school, I don't want to pursue higher education, I don't want to try to better myself, because you don't have anywhere to put it. Whereas that's not the experience for women. So we'll dive into that in a different video. But I also think that it applies to this again, because you, if you don't expand that emotional capacity, you are limiting, I believe, every aspect of your life, either directly or indirectly, because you're closed off. You are self-containing yourself to these two walls. You're like, I'm not going to go this far, or I'm not going to feel this anger. I'm not going to feel. And part of that maybe you don't know how, right? You may not know how to process those emotions in a healthy way. Whereas you can see a lot of people that are processing anger or grief in an unhealthy way, whether they lash out at their family or their partner or society. So it's not even necessarily a lack of desire. I think it also is a lack of education or guidance for young people. That was definitely part of my experience of no one really shows you how to do it. You kind of got to stumble your way through it at times. And then eventually, and hopefully you're able to find people sooner than later that can help guide you and show you like, hey, anger's not a bad emotion. We just have to learn how to process it and channel it in a healthy way. I think very few people, well, not very few, I've definitely had to learn how to process good emotions as well, right? It's not just the negative ones, it's also the ones that might feel like, oh, can I actually feel this good? Can I feel this provided for? Can I feel this much love or bliss or ecstasy, whatever it may be? And so it's a learning curve on both ends, but coming at it with curiosity, realizing that emotions are not bad. Again, I think men need to hear that more than women do, because of our natural disposition and how we're wired, and the lack of initiationship that men don't have nowadays. They're not shown by older people, hey, this is okay. This is how you process it. So yeah, I think that's all for this idea. Again, the importance of that bandwidth. If you want to experience more abundance or more love or more whatever those good feelings are you're wanting, realize it goes at the same speed in both directions. So there may be days where you feel beautiful and amazing and perfect, or whatever you're wanting to feel, and it may, that same day you may also feel some ones that aren't super pleasant. And I think one of the things that I've realized in that is to not get too attached to, don't let the negative ones dictate the rest of your day. Let it just pass through you as quickly as it can. Feel it fully, right? Don't just brush it aside. Like, make sure you're really in it, but then don't ruminate on it. Don't dwell on it, because in that dwelling, then you are then stuck over there. And that is also a skill, to be able to just see it, experience it once, and then move on past that. So hope this was helpful. Any questions, drop it in the comments. Much love to y'all.